Most people think family will always support your dreams. Mine made it their business to convince everyone that my dreams would never amount to anything. What happened at my father's investor pitch event would prove that he had underestimated me more than anyone. In less than 10 minutes, one simple announcement destroyed everything they had built: their credibility, their narrative, and their control over my future. Growing up, my father owned a successful logistics company. It wasn't revolutionary, but it was profitable and stable. He spent his entire life building it, and he assumed his children would naturally follow him into the business. My older brother Ryan got it. He was exactly what my father wanted: ambitious, willing to work brutal hours, and eager to prove himself in an industry that had made our family comfortable. I was different. From childhood, I was interested in how systems could be improved, how processes could be streamlined, and how technology could solve old problems in new ways. My father saw this as naive idealism. My mother saw it as a lack of commitment to family legacy. When I turned 22, I suggested several operational improvements to the company: better inventory management, automation of certain warehouse processes, improved client communication through a custom software platform. Ideas that could have saved them thousands monthly. My father dismissed every single one. He said I was overthinking things. He said the traditional way had worked for 30 years, and it would work for 30 more. He didn't need some kid with a computer science degree telling him how to run a business that had paid for my life, so I stopped offering suggestions. Instead, I did something he never expected. I got a job at a tech consulting firm, learned everything about supply chain optimization, and saved every dollar I earned. While my brother climbed the ranks in my father's company, I was quietly building something else. I was studying the market. I was networking with businesses in every industry: small warehouses, manufacturing plants, logistics hubs, e-commerce fulfillment centers. They all had the same problem: outdated systems, inefficient processes, and astronomical operational costs because nobody had modernized their approach. 3 years later, I left my consulting job and launched my own company, Streamline Ops, a software and consulting service designed specifically for mid-size logistics and warehouse businesses. My parents found out I'd quit my stable job when I casually mentioned it over dinner one evening. My father's response was immediate and cutting. "Of course you did," he said, shaking his head. "You were never going to make it in the real world. At least you'll learn something working for someone else's startup. But you should know, most startups fail in the first year. When yours does, there's a position for you back here." My mother added, "We always knew you'd come back. Family business is in your blood, honey. Don't be embarrassed when it doesn't work out." Ryan didn't say anything. He just smiled, the kind of smile that said he agreed completely. I didn't argue. I simply said thank you for the concern and changed the subject. What they didn't know was that within 18 months, I had signed contracts with 47 logistics companies. Within 2 years, my revenue had hit $2.3 million. My software was being used by businesses across 3 states, and I had a waiting list of clients wanting implementation. I was profitable. I was growing. I was succeeding in a way my father's business never had. Not in those early years, anyway. But I didn't tell them any of this. I let them believe I was struggling. I let them believe their narrative was correct, that I was the idealistic dreamer who needed to come crawling back to the family business eventually. 6 months ago, my father decided to pitch the family logistics company to a group of investors. He was looking to expand, to modernize his warehouse operations, and to position the business for a sale in the next 5 years. He invited the entire family to the event. It was being held at a luxury hotel ballroom, attended by venture capital firms, business analysts, and several major clients. My father wanted his family there to show unity, to demonstrate that this was a legacy business built on family values. I almost didn't go, but something told me I should. The pitch itself was standard: revenue history, market analysis, growth projections, a clear modernization plan. But then, my father did something I didn't expect. He brought his children on stage. He introduced Ryan as his successor and right-hand man, the person who had helped him navigate the company's challenges and who would lead the business into its next phase. Then he brought me up beside them. "And this is my younger child," he said, his voice taking on a paternal tone that made my skin crawl. We've tried to keep them involved in the business, but they've chosen a different path. Tech, startups, that kind of thing. We've given them guidance, of course, but the corporate world can be tough, especially for someone without traditional business experience. He turned to face me directly. Maybe one day you'll come work for your brother, learn what it takes to really run an operation. There's no shame in recognizing where you belong. The room laughed politely. I could see the investors scribbling notes. My mother beamed proudly. Ryan looked satisfied. My father smiled like he had just delivered the perfect humble brag. He handed me the microphone, expecting me to either say nothing or deliver some grateful comment about family. Instead, I said something completely different. "Thank you for inviting me," I began, my voice completely calm. "And thank you for that introduction, Dad. It's interesting that you mentioned my path in tech and startups because I actually wanted to share something with everyone in this room." My father's expression changed slightly. He wasn't used to being surprised. 3 years ago, I left my consulting position and launched a company called Streamline Ops. It's a software and optimization service specifically designed for logistics and warehouse operations, the exact kind of modernization plan that this company is proposing. But we've already been doing it successfully for our clients. I paused and looked directly at the investors. In the past 2 years, Streamline Ops has generated $2.3 million in revenue. We have 47 active clients across 3 states, with a waiting list of businesses wanting to implement our systems. We've reduced operational costs for our clients by an average of 31%, and we're currently in final discussions with 2 major investment groups about a Series A funding round. The room went silent. I continued. I mention this not to criticize my father's business, which has been successful in its traditional model, but to point out that the modernization blueprint he's presenting here is one I designed 3 years ago. The same ideas he dismissed as naive idealism are now the foundation of a thriving, growing company. I looked at the investors, which means if you're interested in investing in logistics modernization, you have 2 options in this room. You can invest in a traditional company trying to transform, or you can invest in a company that has already proven the transformation works. Then I looked back at my father. And Dad, I'm not here to work for Ryan. I built this myself. I handed him back the microphone and stepped away from the podium. The room erupted in controlled chaos. Investors swarmed. Questions were asked. My father's pitch became secondary to the revelation that his own child had built a competing business that was already more innovative than his plans. Within a week, I received 3 acquisition offers and 2 investment proposals. My father never called to congratulate me. My mother sent a text saying, "We always knew you'd figure it out," as if she hadn't spent years suggesting I come work for Ryan. Ryan actually did call. He asked if I was hiring. I told him I'd consider it if he was interested in learning a different approach to the industry. My father's investor pitch did close a small round of funding, but his company never expanded the way he planned. The narrative had been broken. The investors saw him as the outdated option. Streamline Ops closed its Series A at $8 million 6 months later. Looking back, the greatest victory wasn't standing on that stage and proving them wrong. It was realizing that I had never needed their validation in the first place. They spent years trying to manage my expectations, control my future, and convince me I wasn't capable of building something on my own. But I had already built it. The microphone they handed me, expecting gratitude, became the tool that set me free. And that was worth far more than any business they could have given me. Sometimes the people who know you least are the ones who raised you. They believed I would fail because they had never really looked at who I actually was. They looked at the version of me they wanted to exist, dependent, guided, destined for their legacy. But I had become someone entirely different, and I did it completely on my own.